Welcome back to Canvas training, part 2. This time we are going to try and create a whole course in the span of about 30-40 minutes. It'll be fun, it'll be a challenge. We're not going to go completely in detail on every aspect that you could use. I'll give you some tips, tricks, pointers, and ways to make this work faster for you. But for right now, we are just going to worry about getting a course ready to go. So, first thing we're going to do, I'm going to pop into Assessment Sandbox for me because it is the easiest place to create a course. Before we get into this too far, there's a couple of things on this screen right now that we got to talk about. First one, in the upper right, whenever a course is unpublished, it defaults to this page. And it does so because this is the only place that you can unpublish and publish a course. I highly suggest that whenever you are done creating a course, just go ahead and hit publish. Otherwise, you're going to forget about it, students are going to be upset, admins are going to be upset, no one's going to be happy. So make sure, don't forget to publish your course. And there are different ways we can look just to make sure that our course is published. Over here on the right hand side, there are a few other important parts. Import existing content is great for whenever you already have a course designed, and then you can just import it from an existing course. So if I wanted to, I could import a copy of Canvas course, and I want to copy, let's say, this course. And you can choose to include completed courses or not. You can do all content or specific content, adjust the due dates, you can shift them, you can just flat out say I don't want the dates, I'll enter them myself, and then just hit import and it'll go, and it's great. So we'll just go ahead and do it. Select content, and it's like, hey, like what all do you want? Well, I want these items here. Perfect. It'll queue itself up for a little bit, and then eventually it'll run. There it goes. And when it's completed, you can pop back over to the Assessment Sandbox by clicking on itself, and boom! Of course, just materialized out of nowhere. And I can go over here and I can publish this. If you wanted to instead be like, oh, I imported the wrong course, well, no worries. Go down to settings and reset course content. Never click delete. Delete is a bad one. Do not delete the course. Okay? Instead, you are just going to reset course content, and boom. This course is now completely empty again. All right? So, let's create a course. First thing I always go through and do is hit this syllabus tab. Okay? Actually, I go through and hit settings. I will not lie. So settings, and I set the default settings for the course itself. This is really helpful whenever you're going through. So if you want, you can always do the name, never do the course code. So I can name this Canvas tutorial. Course code, leave it alone. Time zone, central. Excuse me. Ooh. Term. Terms generally will actually have a term here because this is a recurring course that never leaves. It has this default term. And this is where you can also set your start and end dates. For me, I want the start date of the first, and and I want it to end on the 10th. Okay? And then I can be like, hey, students can only participate in between these dates, and they can't see it before the date, like before the course starts. Helpful. I would caution against this one here, where you are restricting students from seeing the course after the end date. That means that it is completely gone from their view, and so students get really paranoid whenever they can't see the score that they got in Canvas. So I would say leave that box unchecked. After that, you have a few other things. Don't ever change your language. Um, Most of these other things I don't really worry about. You can change like the format of the course if you really wanted to. You could change the description. I will say that no one really looks at this part down here, so I wouldn't worry about it. And then once you're done, be very careful because you must update these course details. So I can update the course details. And if I go back to my dashboard, I have a Canvas tutorial. Here we go. So once the settings are done, then I pop into the syllabus. Okay. The syllabus page just houses your syllabus. So you can hit edit, you can type in your syllabus, or you can go through and be like, I'd rather just upload my syllabus. And so files, upload, choose a file, find the course, like the actual syllabus. I got a whole bunch of crap. So for me, it's going to be faster to just pick one from a different one. But like you just choose a file and out pops a whole bunch of stuff. So there you go. Select it, click it, hit upload, and it immediately will populate right there. So it's really nice, really quick. You don't actually have to go through and edit all of these things day by day by day. This course summary is really cool, and it's something that I'll show you in the future. It will list the dates that something is due, as well as what exactly is due that day. And that's the syllabus. Super quick, super easy. Once it's done, you're done with that page. And you can go and try and find the next thing you want to work on. For us, we are going to go to modules, which normally is going to be your default place to be. Modules is really great. It organizes contents for students. So for this one, we're just going to say module 1, weeks 1 through 2. And if you want, you can lock until, I don't know, the 8th. Add module. Okay, and you're like, cool, it's there. Students can see it. Not quite. Canvas has this really somewhat annoying it's how it's supposed to be. Annoying thing that you actually have to publish everything. So just because you add something doesn't mean it's actually there. Make sure this green check mark is there, saying that yes, this item has been published. So we have a module. What do we want to do with it? Well, this is where you get to the adding items. You can add an assignment, a quiz, a file, a page, discussion, text header, URLs, external tools, all at different indentations. So if I want, I can just be like, here's a header. Then if you notice, like these are just things that are here. So welcome. I want this at the don't indent level. And here's a welcome. Make sure it's published. So now students will be like, hey, here's a module, here's a welcome. These text headers are really great for breaking apart items. So you can be like, here are, instead of saying welcome, if you ever name something wrong, you can always go to the 3 dots, the lovely 3 dots, hit edit, and instead of welcome, let's just say this is helpful resources. And so now I can input page and have that new page. The page name is contact info. Sure. I want it at the first indent level. And here's now a page that says contact info. Again, you'll publish it and you can click on it. Whenever you click on it, you get the page that you just added. Pages, think of them as a web page themselves. So if I want to edit this web page, boom, there you go. So here's my email. shockley at ndcc.edu. My office hours, office location, AC 120, 124, office phone 620-332-5444. Office hours, you know, like so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And then save. Okay. There's a lot of things you can do on this one. You can notify users that this content has changed, so everyone that is enrolled into this assessment sandbox or this Canvas tutorial will get notified that this information has changed. If you want students and teachers to edit this, you can change it. I wouldn't, because this is your contact info. And so if students want to email you, they can click on that, and boom, up pops that. Okay. So those are pages. Pages can be whatever you want them to be. If you ever get stuck, remember, you just click on the assessment sandbox at the top, and it'll kind of guide you where you want to be. So we have some helpful resources. We have some contact info. What else would you do in week 1? Well, you probably want an assignment or a quiz or a file. File's great. You just upload a file. So if you want them to have an upload of, let's say, Steam library, nope, I don't know, 8182, done. Course files, indent, first level, add. So now it's uploading a video. I don't want it to upload the video. That's a file. Okay, and then it would appear. Make sure you then hit publish. So we got files, pages, discussions. Discussions are really cool. Topic name. Where are you from? Or the name of the discussion or something like that. So we hit this, we hit publish again, and then we click on it. Now we get into the discussion forums. So you can hit edit, and this is where you get to be like, hey, where were you born? And where were you raised? Town, state, or country. Boop. It's going to be posted all sections. Don't really worry about that one. And then you can just add all of these things that you want. So add threaded replies. They got to post something before they see somebody else's reply to it. You can have it graded. You can now allow liking. You can sort by likes, or you can say only graders can like. So you can go through and you can like posts that have done really well, and then, you know, by default shame those that are terrible at, you know, posting something. You can change the number of points possible, so let's make it 10 points. You can display the grade of those 10 points as a percentage, whether they did it or didn't do it. Letter grade, GPA scale, which is always weird, wouldn't ever recommend it. And you can change the assignment group. Peer reviews just means that somebody else has to also look at it and grade and agree with your grading. And you can assign this to be due on the 11th. It's available. I'd never really play with these, but it's available on the 8th, and it shuts on the 12th. And you can add different people, like different groups. And then we'll just hit save. So now it's the title of the discussion, like, hey, where are you from? And then, where are you born, where are you raised? Tell me something about your hometown, home state, or country. And it also gives the due date of saying, hey, this was due or is due November 11th. Okay. One thing to keep in mind is that you can always close something for comments, or you can also add a rubric, which is something we will use later on. And then there's also speed grader. Again, we will use that much later on. Okay. So that's a discussion. Let's go back. Well, the problem is where are you from isn't really a helpful resource. Well, let's add a text header and let's just say assignments. Add item and publish. Well, I need to get this where are you from down to the assignments. So click, drag, release, it's now there. If I hit refresh real quick, assignments is populated now. Apparently in the meantime I have gotten an email, and where are you from is now an assignment. Very easily noticed that, like, hey, these are resources, this is an assignment. If I wanted to do a quiz, so we're going to do a new quiz, we're going to do a syllabi quiz, because everybody loves a syllabi quiz. The group itself, if you notice it says assignments and assignments, we're going to change this here shortly. We're just going to leave it as assignments though, and we're also going to indent one level, and we're going to add, and if you notice it's always going to add it to the bottom. So again, I'm going to publish it, or if you want you can wait on publishing it, but we're going to keep it published for right now. Pop into the syllabi quiz, and if you notice there is nothing here. Well, it's because you got to go ahead and edit. Edit the quiz, quiz, instructions. Read the syllabi and answer the following questions. Quiz type. There are a couple of different types. Practice quiz just means it's not worth any points. Graded quiz means it's worth points. Graded survey. Surveys are really interesting because surveys will sit there and, as far as I know, you can make them anonymous, whereas the quizzes you can't. So surveys are great because you can go through and be like, hey, I want the submissions anonymous. This is mostly used for like end of course surveys. You can also do an ungraded survey where there is no having to worry about anonymous or unanonymous responses. You can shuffle the answers, meaning that the answers that you are writing out will be shuffled. Time limit is in minutes, so 60 minutes. Anonymous. And then you can allow multiple attempts. You can average those attempts and only allow 3 attempts. Why not? If you want the students to see their responses, you can click that. You can say only after their last attempt will you let the students see the correct answers. Here, quiz responses only after the last attempt. So they will see their score, but they will not know the responses that they got or which ones are correct, which ones are not. You can also limit that and say, hey, like while we're going to do that, the correct answers are going to be actually on the 13th. Show one question at a time and lock the questions after answering are all options for you to use. If you want to use an access code, you are more than welcome to. And you can require, like, that way whenever they click on the quiz, they have to enter in the access code in order to get in. It's a great way to limit when students are allowed to actually enter into a quiz. Due dates and available from and then until is normal. So after all that, let's get some questions. With questions, you have a couple different options. You can do questions or question groups. So question groups go through and say, hey, I want Canvas to pull 2 questions, and each question is going to be worth 10 points. Whereas a new question just pops the question and it forces the student to answer that question. So since I haven't done anything, I'm going to pop back up. And if you notice this, like, hey, this question's still here, you can go over and delete that. So this is going to be syllabi group 1. I want you to pick 2 questions at 5 points each. I'm going to link you to a question bank. View course question banks, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I don't have any. Or I have this one, but there's only 1 question in it. Or more aptly, there isn't one. So we're just going to add one. No name. Syllabi. No questions. Get a question. Remember, change the questions. Show question details. Okay. Edit. No? Alright. Quizzes. I will say I don't normally use the question banks. Questions. Find questions. Aha. There we go. No question. So you would create the questions. Whenever you do it, question, sure. You get different types of questions. There's a text, meaning there is no question. File upload, where they have to upload a file. Essay question, where they upload an essay. Formula question, which means you can have a formula. Think like math. Math will do that. Numerical answer just means like, hey, the exact answer is 5 with an error margin of 2. Meaning you can do like, up or down a couple. Matching. Left side, right side. Left side, right side. Left side, right side. Left side, right side. Additional possibilities. And it adds to the right side. Multiple drop downs. Yeah. Multiple answers. Add another answer. And this one's going to be boop. And then if you click on these, it can be like, oh, that's a possible answer, but this is a correct answer now. So there's multiple answers. Fill in the blanks. Wow, don't want that done. So that you can be like, hey, okay, like here's a blank, and then here's a story, and then here's another blank. So my dog ate a my color 1 ate my color 2. So then this one goes down here. So it's like, hey, what color? My blue ate my purple. And if you know that students can't spell, it could be like blue or blue. But if you know that they can spell purple, you can just be like, purple. That's it. We're just going to update that question. And then we're going to get a new question. And because you also have fill in the blank, where it's just like, that's it. Just get the one blank. True, false. True and false. If you want the answer to be false, click on false. If you want the answer to be true, click on true. Multiple choice is just multiple choice. So if there's only 2, add another, add another, add another, until you get tired of adding them. and update the question. Okay. Save. Preview. My blue ate my purple. True. Submit. Coopers. I got one right, one wrong. So I didn't get any points. But I got that one right, so I got 1 out of 1 because this one wasn't worth any points. So if you notice, like, hey, that wasn't worth any points, let's go back and fix that. So we can edit and say, this is really worth 2 points or 1 point. Update, save, preview, blue, purple, true, submit. Well, this time I only got half a point because I misspelled blue, but I got purple right, and that answer is true. So I got 1.5 out of 2. All right, so quizzes. That's how those work. Okay. They're really nifty. They're nice. And there's a lot of options for quizzes. You can show a rubric, which we'll again get into in a little bit. You can lock a quiz so that students can't even submit it anymore. You can show the student results, message students who have taken the quiz, who have not taken the quiz, delete it, send to copy, share to commons, whole bunch of stuff with quizzes. Question banks, quiz banks are really nice. I haven't used them that often, but I know that there's a bunch of tutorials on how to use the question banks on the internet. So, quizzes. We have our syllabi quiz ready to go. What else can we add? We can add just a general assignment. And let's say the assignment name is written prompt. We're going to indent it a level. Publish. Get the prompt. And edit. Again, have a prompt, have them do something, have it worth 10 points, display the points as a percentage, and then you get the submission type. You can get online to where it's a text entry, file uploads, URLs. You can do it on paper, meaning that this is just something that they handed to you, and so you're just entering a grade. External tools, for the most part, you won't use this unless you are English and you are using Turnitin. There's very few options that you'll actually use this. So be very careful whenever you're doing this. Most of the time, your division chair will tell you specifically how to use an external tool if it is applying to you. So we're just going to say it's an online. You can do all those. Limited attempts to just 2, just in case you messed up the first time you had submitted something. You can submit it a second time, or just say, nah, you can submit it as many times as you want. Group assignment will then make it to where you can assign, so split students into 5 groups, or split students into groups with 3 students per group. And then automatically assign, and then a random save. Sure. Name, group name. No, it alls. Perfect. New group category. Assign grades to each student individually. You can do the exact same things with the assign tool. So it's kind of a nice way to split students off into groups without actually having to do this manually. And it can be truly like, look, computer said you guys are a group. You guys are a group. Have fun. Modules. So we have all of these assignments. And I think that's it. file, page, discussion, some of those. All right. Well, that's for weeks 1 and 2. What about if we have module 2, which is chapters 3 and 4? Well, I want them to finish module 1. So module 1 has to be done before they can move on. So prerequisites, module 1. Publish. And then you can do that whole thing all over again, where you do text headers saying like, hey, this is the helpful stuff. This is my contact. These are the assignments. This is this part. It's really helpful for our students because most of them get bogged down in this gigantic list of things for them to do. And they don't necessarily realize that, hey, these are the helpful resources up here. Your assignments, what I need you to complete, what's for a grade, is down here. While they can very obviously see that, hey, this is worth 10 points, this is worth 2 points, and this is worth 10, they don't look at that. They just see the big list, and they don't go, oh, this is just a resource. This is something that I need to get done. So breaking it out using assignments and resources is very helpful for the students that we have. So this is modules. Once we get modules completely done, you just build out your course from weeks 1 all the way through. Design-wise, I will tell you that whenever you are doing modules, and I highly suggest, I think it's actually required that we organize courses in modules, that you only do 2 weeks at a time at most. Most of the time, I would say do 1 week or 2 weeks if the content splits over multiple weeks. If your content splits over 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I would say that you can do a 4-week module, but it's not the best practice. So 2 weeks is generally the sweet spot between too many modules and not enough modules. So modules, done. But if you noticed, if you remember, we had these written prompts and syllabi quiz and where you're from discussions that were all located underneath assignments. And if I pop over to assignments, I have multiple groups. So this big thing is called a group, and then you have this group. We don't want that group, so we can add a new group. So let's say that we got a final group and it's worth 20% of the final grade. This group is worth 60%. And if you want to drop some scores, if you never want to drop the syllabus quiz, but you want to drop the one lowest score and the one highest, that'd be dumb, the lowest score, safe. And so it shows the 2 rules, and it says drop the lowest score, but never drop the syllabi quiz. Well, what if I don't want this to actually be called assignments? Well, what if I just want this to be called quizzes? Okay. And then let's have, I actually have no idea what I clicked on. Oh, group. So I'm going to add another group, and we're going to do prompts. That's going to be worth 20%, so we can get up to 100. Well, I need this writing prompt down here. And again, just drag and drop. Oops. Refresh the page. The final. So if you notice on that one, we had assignments here, and then it was worth 0 and 0, and everything was gone. Most of the time, if you just refresh that page, it'll pop itself and populate back to normal. So now I know that the writing prompts are in its own thing. It's worth a certain percentage. And if I need to add another assignment, I can. I would say never add assignments from the Assignments tab. Always add them from the Modules tab. Because if I add an assignment to the final, let's say, let's just do an assignment, call it the final, it's worth that many points, hit save and publish. This right here is great, but whenever I go over to modules, my final isn't listed. And because it's not in modules, chances are our students aren't going to remember. Now there's a couple ways you can take care of that. You can add files directly to it. You can select an assignment. So from here I can be like, hey, I want the final, and add the item. If it's an assignment, if it was a quiz, then I need to go to quiz. If it was a discussion, I need to make sure that I'm clicked on discussion. So this was the final, add item. So there you go. Now you have a 350,000 point final, but in the assignments tab, we only made it 20% of their overall grade. So that's modules and assignments. Rules are super helpful, especially if you go through and you remove the lowest grade. Canvas can do it for you. So we have modules, we have assignments, we have syllabi, quizzes, but if you notice, there's a whole bunch of stuff here, and we don't want all of this stuff. If you notice, like, files is hidden because there's the I with the line through it, but all this other stuff is available to students to click on, and the more things that a student can click on, the more times they're going to get lost. And so if you go to settings, you can go to this navigation. Click on navigation, and now you have the ability to drag and drop. So I don't want them to do the test out. You do need this part. I don't have access to Google Drive, so I'm not going to worry about it. I don't use this one. I don't use the chat function. I don't use the attendance in Canvas, conferences, collaborations, outcomes. I don't want students to see the outcomes. Files. I don't need students clicking on the Files tab that they have access to because I'll give it to them. Grades you'll want. People I don't want. Syllabi I'm going to move to the top. Modules I'm going to move to the top. Grades I'm going to move to the top. Discussion. Pages are down at the bottom. Quizzes. Don't need rubrics. Boom. There's my course. So now, if you notice, what you set for the students is also how it's set for you, except technically you can still get to these. Okay. So, assessment sandbox. And this is what you're left with. If you notice, though, you can still get to outcomes, people, all of these, but it is in the order that you give students. Now, announcements is always going to be hidden until you actually have an announcement. These are course-wide announcements. Just click on it, get your announcement, hit save, and boom, you got yourself an announcement. It pops up real big for them, so they should see it. Should. What else? What else? That's really it whenever it comes to setting up your course for the first time. Oh, no, it's not. There's some cool things. If you notice, like, this is what my course looks like, but what if I want to see what the course looks like for the student? Well, again, settings, student view. Student view is great because now it switches over, and you can tell because there's this giant pink border around everything, and it says, hey, what is happening? Well, to-do list. I got where are you from quiz. All right, let me click on it. All right, but I can't. Well, that's because it was locked. It was locked on the 12th. So students rarely see this. They're just like, I can't click on anything. Well, it's because it's locked. Go back, and if you click on the home, currently it's set up for modules, and I'd be like, okay, what about the syllabus quiz? Can I take the syllabus quiz? Perfect, I can. My blue ate my purple. The answer was this one. Submit. that didn't work. I didn't get anything right. Correct answer was any of these, this one, and then that one. And again, you can always go through and you can test your own quizzes to be like, what will it look like for the students? If you want to reset the students, you'd be like, hey, I didn't actually take that quiz. Well, then I'll be like, all right, cool. Don't do it then. The writing prompt will be right here. Since there wasn't any contact, I can submit an assignment though, and I can choose a file, and I can add some comments to the instructor, to the whole group. Because remember, this was a group assignment. Leave, and then you had the final. Again, there's no content, there wasn't anything to submit, so I can be like, hey, there was supposed to be a submit button up here. Leave the student view. It takes you directly to that assignment that you can then say edit. This one was a on paper assignment. So they submitted it on paper. That, barring a few minor things that we can also fix. If you go to home, you can choose the home page. Somewheres. Is there settings? There's, oh, well, home can also get you to student view. What up? It's a great way. Pages. Modules? One of these, but downside is I've had this thing I've created so many courses that I've just been like, it's fine. Cool. I will say they do a lot of going through and saying, hey, like they have a lot of new features. So if you ever want to know what a feature is, just click on that. Enable the tracking of events for a quiz submission, ability to view the log of events once a submission is made, meaning you can track to see if a student has clicked out and then back in of a quiz. Really cool, really neat. Anonymous instructor annotations, that's if you had multiple instructors in a course. We don't, so don't worry about that one. The score, if you meet an outcome, which we'll talk about in the next video, then you can give them some little bit extra credit, which I would say never do, but that's just me. There is a way. Because I'm blind. Underneath home, there is a choose home page. You can do course activity stream, the syllabus, the assignment list. I always use the course modules. Just because that's how my courses are set up, through the modules part. So I would say use modules. That way whenever they click on home, they're not having to click through a whole bunch of other crap. They're just like, here's my list of crap I got to get done this week. Alright, I think I have rambled on enough. It's been 44 minutes. So, hopefully you've endured, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.